We're getting ready for the start of the Masters Endurance Legends race here with our two front row drivers, Steve Tandy and Francois Perodo, as they head around through Club Corner, getting ready for those lights to go out. Everybody gathering up on the grid. We've got 30 cars on the grid, and we are underway as the lights go out, and it's going to be a good start for Steve Tandy, who just gets the edge over Francois Perodo into the first little sequence of corners and trying to make the break with the Lola ahead of the Peugeot, and then the chase from behind as well. Emmanuel Collard actually has got himself into fourth place already. He did start fifth on the grid. You can see the open top Porsche RS Spider, the purple and white car. That is Emmanuel Collard, the man who has spent so many years racing at Le Mans, and he is definitely in the mix at the moment.
And we're seeing it again. That Peugeot is so quick on the straight, isn't it? Just makes his way past Steve Tandy on the run down to Brooklands, and there's Emmanuel Collard, who's got through into fourth place, but now on the wide line. Is he going to get up into third place? I think it's going to be hard to go all the way around the outside there. He does back out of it in the end. So it's the lead at the moment for Francois Perodo in the Peugeot from Steve Tandy in second place as they come up to Cops Corner.
Yeah, and Emmanuel Collard, 50 years old now, hugely experienced. This is an LMP2 car. It's less quick in a straight line, but he is very rapid through the corners. So trying to make the most of that on this opening lap. But it's Francois Perodo in car number 7 who has taken the initial advantage, no great surprise. He was very rapid yesterday, beaten at the end of the day by Rob Weldon, the professional driver. They've got a very slow-going Porsche up ahead of them, which I think has got a problem. Hopefully it will be well out of their way by the time they get there. I think it's the Paul Phillips Nigel Greensall car. Doesn't look as though that's going to last for long. There is Collard then, still in that group battle. Sean Lynn is just up ahead of him, and now they come around to complete their first lap, and Francois is stamping his foot already, getting a useful little advantage in the Peugeot 908. He's across the line, and at the end of the first lap, his advantage over Lynn, in fact, in second place, 1.6 seconds. Tandy has dropped down to third now, with Collard in a fourth position, and the rest of the field fighting their way through. So this is looking good news for Francois. He's getting more and more used to this car. He's not done many laps before this race weekend, he was telling us yesterday, but he's clearly feeling quite at home in it now. There is Emmanuel, and he's actually got past Steve Tandy now. So Emmanuel Collard has got himself into third place, and despite not having the straight line speed of those cars ahead of him, he's not giving up on hunting them down and potentially going for a podium finish himself.
Yes, that car from the LMP2 category, which is the not as quick as the LMP1 cars, so he's doing a great job of staying with them in the lead group, but he's outgunned really on the long straights here at Silverstone. That won't stop him trying as they go through Woodcote Corner up towards Copse, and it's still Perodo leading now, and Sean Lynn from Emmanuel Collard, and Steve Tandy lost another place, so Collard got past Tandy in that section, and then it's Crichton Lendoudis in 5th place and Frieser in 6th place.
Indeed. Just looking down the order, in the GTs at the moment, it looks like the lead car is the number 15, a little bit further down. Let's have a look, the number 2 car, I believe, of Michael McKinney and Aaron Scott. It's the Mosler. Here we've got an attack going on though, and a potential change once again, but no, it doesn't quite happen there. That is Crichton Lendoudis having a go at Steve Tandy. Didn't quite come off. He's not far behind though.
He's not, no, and the different cars really. The Peugeot, a later car, I think, than the car of the Lola of Steve Tandy. So as they come up to the right-hander at Abbey, it's still, and we've cut to the leaders with Perodo. Is that going through? Yeah, that's
yeah,
yes, it is, yes.
So Francois Perodo is still leading this race, but it's quite close, isn't it? Up front, Sean Lynn is beginning to put him under a bit of pressure.
That's right, yeah, Sean Lynn has closed up. We just switched pictures there and got confused between the two of them, but it's Sean Lynn who we're looking at actually in the number 9 Peugeot, just coming up behind the leader, and then there's Emmanuel Collard, who really throwing that car around through the section after Brooklands into Woodcut now, they go towards Copse Corner, and are we going to have a challenge from Sean Lynn? No, he's not close enough as they turn into Copse Corner. The speed they change direction, Ben, is absolutely staggering, isn't it?
Very impressive, yes, no doubt about it. This car is Sean Lynn, Peugeot 908 that won Petit Le Mans back in 2009, so it's got some true racing heritage, as have many of these cars. By the way, Jamie Constable, you know they had that problem off the grid. He is out there racing. He's currently down in 12th place, but he is picking up some places, so we'll keep an eye out on Jamie Constable to see how far he can move up. He's in car number 99, so watch out for number 99, see if that car does manage to make some progress. And a few other cars that are beginning to move up from rather lower grid positions. See, Little John has made some ground, yeah, Lundudis has now got past Steve Tandy, so Lundudis is now in 4th position. But we've got a great battle up front, and Sean Lynn with the fastest lap, a 1:46.6, another fastest lap for Sean, who is chasing after Francois Perodo, giving him a pretty tough time of it so far. Both these cars very, very competitive, of course. Both are Peugeot 908s in slightly different formats, but nonetheless they're delivering a great show. Peugeot 1-2 with Emmanuel Collard in the Porsche RS Spider in 3rd place, and then 4th place for Lundudis in car number 8, yet another of the Peugeots. That's the 90X as it is called. Steve Tandy now in 5th position, and he is being chased by Keith Freezer in the Zytek 09.
And through they go onto the Woodcut and Old Pit Straight section, and Sean Lynn trying really hard there as they came down into Brooklands, but they're going along the straight now towards Copse Corner. Copse is so fast that I don't think Sean will look for a way through there, but he might try down into Stowe Corner, so he might be building up now as they come up towards Beckett's to try and get a good run through these sweepers here. The swinging right, then left, then right again, and now Sean Lynn hoping to build up speed as they go down towards Chapel Curve. He's coming up close behind, he's got the toe, he's right up under the rear wing. Will he be able to dive out on braking for Stowe Corner?
There's a little bit more straight line speed, I think, from Francois' car, because it just pulls away a bit before they get onto the brakes into Stowe, so there wasn't really a chance for Sean to go for the challenge down into the club section now, but he is able to follow very, very closely indeed. The two of them pulling away a bit more now from Emmanuel Collard in 3rd position. In the GT class, by the way, it is quite a good battle that is going on further down the order. Number 5 is joining into that battle as well. Olivier Tangogne in the Celine, still the Mosler that's leading from the Celine. So we've got two American GT cars that are battling out for GT honours further down the order. We'll keep an eye on that as we go through, and it's a change for the lead as Sean Lynn sneaks alongside and gets past Francois Perodo. That was a great move from him. Perodo's not giving up, quick in a straight line, and he's got that performance down the Wellington Straight, but he can't quite make it happen before getting on the brakes into Brooklands, and Sean Lynn has taken advantage here.
A great move from Sean Lynn there in the slower corners, the village and loop section, and he managed to stay far enough ahead that he couldn't be overtaken by the quicker Perodo on the straight.
I'm just looking out of our combox, Alistair, and noticed the number 27 car has been pulled over to the side of the road. Mike and Matthew Wrigley in their Delara, sadly. It is well out of the way. It won't cause any problems or yellow flags or anything, but there's clearly a mechanical problem. We did see earlier on it looked like they may have an issue, and sure enough, it is not running cleanly. So that's a disappointment for them, but we've still got some great racing going out on track, and Sean Lynn taking the advantage and now trying to pull away from Francois Perodo. But will Sean have a longer pit stop than Francois? That's going to be the question, I suppose.
Well, we haven't been told who are the professional drivers. I don't think Sean will be classed as professional. He is an amateur, so I don't think he'll get the extra pit stop penalty, as we've got one car coming into the pits.
Like it was Ollie coming in.
Ollie Brown, yes, I thought so as well, yes.
Ollie Brown, we think.
And the pit window, I don't think is open yet, so that's a problem for Ollie Bryant.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. In the GT battle that he wasn't in the lead group of the GTs, but nonetheless, a pity to see him heading into the pits at the moment. It's still the number 2 Michael Maninini and Aaron Scott Mosler that is leading in the GT class for now, but it's all pretty close in that group. The number 126 Colin Salter in the Ferrari 458 moved up into 2nd in that particular group, as the leaders are now beginning to lap some of the GT cars. No great surprise there. They have a massive gain in pace. Fastest lap still belonging to Sean Lynn at a 1:46.6, but it's still not quite down to the level that Rob did yesterday. Rob Weldon did a 1:45.2. I wonder if Sean can find that extra pace to take a new record in the Classic here at Silverstone. That's going to be a fun thing to see. A fair bit of fuel on board, but the tyres are in fresh state at this point in the race. It was relatively late in the race that Rob did that quick lap yesterday. Now, further back, number 41 car is still moving up through the order. James Littlejohn in the Gibson, because he had, as I remember, a poor grid position after problems yesterday. He started down in 28th. He's now got up to 8th place, Littlejohn, in the number 41 car. So he's made good progress, and he's actually got a chance to get past a few more cars, because that group is pretty tight between 6th to 8th place. So I think we might see Littlejohn gain a few more places.
Yeah, James Littlejohn actually retired yesterday with a problem. So yeah, he started, as you say, right at the back of the grid, done a good job to get himself into the sharp end of the times, and coming up now a big gaggle of slower cars as Sean Lynn comes into Abbey and Farm, and he's followed by Francois Perodo and Emmanuel Collard there, trying to get through some of the slower cars in the middle of Farm, and then up to Village he comes, turns through the right-hander, and then up to the left at the loop. Collard running in 3rd place, and then Aintree takes him onto the Wellington straight once again. But really Collard's LMP2 Porsche Spider really giving away quite a lot of top speed to the 2 cars ahead.
Olivier Tandy in the Celine has taken the lead in the GT class now, by the way. Managed to get past the Mosler as Emmanuel Collard fighting his way past some of the other GT cars further down the order. Colin Sauter in his Ferrari 458. Now he's got a Porsche 911 to get past, excuse me, which he manages to do, and he's on his way quite comfortably at this point. Now, this is the leading GT car I mentioned, Olivier Tangogne, in car number 5. This is the Celine S7R, and this car is now leading in the GT class, having moved ahead of the Mosler that was leading in that class, about to be lapped by the race leaders, I believe, but nonetheless holding on in there in an important place in terms of class victory, if he can do that for the rest of the race. We've still got 27.5 minutes remaining in this Masters Endurance Legends race. Yes, he is lapped by the race leader Sean Lynn, but a very different category of car. Absolutely,
yes. A nice livery on the Celine, the turquoise and dark blue, as Francois Perodo comes up to lap Tancogne in the Celine through Copse Corner. Where will he get him? He gets him on the exit of Copse on the run up towards Beckett's. Meantime, Sean Lynn in that's the number 7 Peugeot, so that's not our leader, that's Perodo in 2nd place, coming through Aintree.
Good battle going on further back as well, I was noticing. I think it was Steve Tandy, still very, very close to Lundudis further back. I saw them coming through Abbey just now. They were absolutely together, not quite side by side, but almost front wing to rear wing as they came through the corner. Very fast corner as well. So that was interesting to see. Jamie Constable still trying to move up in car number 99, but he has made good progress, and as we mentioned, James Littlejohn, he's made good progress and is still keeping some tough pressure on car number 20, Keith Freesia, in the Zytek. Very little difference in space between them right now. So Littlejohn has a good chance of moving up to the 7th and then maybe even into 6th position. Our race second place man, here it is, number 7, Francois Perodo. Is he going to be able to hold on for a win? Number 47 has had a moment. Chris Perkins and Jason McAnulty's car. That's one of the BRO ones, the Russian-owned machinery. They're put together by a Russian entrepreneur, and another important factor in the LMP racing. So it has got going again, I believe. Yep, there you are. So no damage done, and hopefully they can pick up the pace once more.
That was a spin on the exit of the club corner, wasn't it? Just at the end of the beginning of the Hamilton straight. He's now now up to the loop. We're back with our leader. Yes, Sean Lynn. No, that's not Sean Lynn. No,
Lendudis
that's
battling with Tandy. Yeah.
Bound to get it wrong, wasn't I? They all looked so similar. Yeah, Lendudis battling with Steve Tandy, who actually started on pole, but quickly fell back behind the 3 leading cars ahead.
Here is Tandy, and this is what I saw last time. They get very close to each other coming down the Hamilton straight. Lights ablaze on Steve's car. This time he's not actually quite as close through Abbey as he was. Oh, and he slowed down.
Yeah, suddenly
what's happened?
Slowed, yeah.
I don't know what happened there. He suddenly slowed down. Little John, meanwhile, has got up into 7th, but there is a problem for Tandy. He is definitely backed right off. It was just on the exit of Abbey as I was looking out of our commentary box window, and he kept over to the right. At the moment, Lendudis is pulling away. Look in the background, whether you can see Steve Tandy at all. I can't see him at all now, so I think he's going really quite slowly, and that is a great shame with the car that won here yesterday in the hands of Rob Weldon, and which Steve owns and wanted to enjoy. Yeah, look, it's dropping down the order. Steve Tandy dropping.
Yeah, I think, Ben, what we've worked out is he got through Farm okay, so we've got no yellow flags here, but he then pulled off in a safe position,
okay.
So I think we'll see him disappear off the timing screen.
Well, that's a shame. Meanwhile, our race leader is still Sean Lynn. There's Emmanuel Collard in 3rd, behind Perodo. Not a huge gap between them, only a couple of seconds. Emmanuel Collard is keeping the pressure on Francois Perodo, but of course Collard will have a longer pit stop. He is very much a professional driver, so he will have to have a longer pit stop. That's part of the rules of the Master Endurance Legends, and it may well drop Collard behind some of the other drivers there. Yeah. Whoa, big lock up there for Sean Lynn, our race leader. He was dealing with some traffic, but he would have flat spotted that right front tyre, but he's going to get quite a big vibration thumping through the cockpit now as a result of a flat spot. That's not a fun thing to have, but he has kept it going. Now the pit window has opened up. We've got 23 minutes to go. Some of these drivers are swapping over, but most of the front runners are driving the cars solo, but they will of course have to make a pit stop and have a sit and wait moment before they're allowed to come back out again. Nobody diving into the pits just yet. We have actually got a few further down the order who are coming into the pits, as
yes.
Constable has.
Yeah, and also the Klukas and Jewel car has come into the pits as well.
But no sign of Sean Lynn or Francois Perodo or Emmanuel Collard coming in just yet. Lendudis now is pretty safe in 4th because of the incident or problem for Steve Tandy. Tandy is still being shown, but he has stopped at the side, I'm pretty sure. Right, now that's important because this is a pit stop for a car that's been leading in the GT class, and he is staying in the car, Tangonia. He is not changing over to another driver. Some of the rivals that he is racing against are swapping drivers, so we may well yet see a change in that GT category. We'll try and keep an eye out on that for you. Up in the overall category though, straightforward, it's Sean Lynn with a 6.5 second lead over Francois Perodo, and he comes around to complete another lap.
It seems as though Steve Tandy did make it back to the pits actually, so
right.
He must have just trickled round, and he's shown us in the pits at the moment, but obviously the pit window is open, but I don't think it's anything like a normal stop for him.
Number 46 car just going through there, being passed by our race leader, and Sean Lynn with a useful advantage over Francois Perodo. Emmanuel Collard still holding on to that 3rd place. The gaps are opening up a little bit. James Littlejohn, as I mentioned, has moved up into 6th place now. Still pretty close to the number 165 car of Alan Purbrick and David Bryce, the Lola LMP2. So that could be a potential change. Seeing a few more people moving up with the various pit stops that are being made right now, and it won't be until everybody has made a pit stop that we really get a clear picture, but we do know that Sean Lynn has control of this race at this point. The lap times have dropped away a little bit, I have to say. Sean said a 1:46.6 on lap 3. We're now on lap 11. 10 laps have been completed. We're on lap 11. His last lap was a 1:48.5. It's nearly 2 seconds down on his fastest lap. And I guess, you know, he's in a lead position. He doesn't need to be pushing absolutely flat out, does he?
No, and it's although it's only a 40-minute race, they do have to look after their tyres. I think that's Steve Tandy coming back out of the pits again. It's had some work done on the car and come back out, so we'll see on the timing screen. Yes, it's shown as an out lap, so Steve Tandy, that's also will satisfy his mandatory stop as well. So if there was a problem with the car, they will have been able to fix that whilst he was in for his normal stop.
Let's see how it goes for the remainder of this race when they really start making their pit stops. But for the moment, Sean is putting on a great display, and with that useful advantage, Francois Perodo, as you say, now having come in. Emmanuel Collard, we're still waiting to see him come into the pit lane.
I think from what we understand, Collard will be the only driver that gets the professional driver penalty as well, I think, because it was only him and Rob Weldon yesterday, wasn't it? So it'll only be Collard today.
Okay, and that will give him the longer pit stop. It will drop Collard back. Whether it's going to drop him behind and do this or not, we'll have to see. But it is a longer pit stop, there's no doubt. Collard actually has just gone to second because Perodo has come in now. So Francois has decided to make his pit stop at this stage. 19 minutes to go. Pit window's still open. Sean Lynn has the right to stay out there for another lap or two. There is the car of Francois having come into the pits to make his pit stop. And he'll be sent on his way once the time is allowed. Emmanuel Collard now in second place, but due to make a longer pit stop. That Porsche RS Spider, it's got a very high revving engine. As it comes past our commentary box, you really hear this loud sound, high rev engine, really wonderful to hear. Some of the other cars out there really got much lower growl to them. It's nice to hear that variety of engine power. It's always one of the joys of GT and LMP racing. You get these different engine noises, different sounds, different speeds as well, of course.
Except you don't get too much sound from the Peugeot diesel, because that's very quiet indeed.
That is true. That's a good point.
Watch that for 24 hours at Le Mans one year, and you didn't even hear it whisper by at night unless you happened to see the lights. And Emmanuel Collard is into the pit lane for his mandatory stop, so coming in from second position, although that was an elevation because of Perodo coming into the pit lane himself, so we'll see how that shakes out. And we're looking there at the number 7 of Perodo back out on track again after his pit stop. And remember that Collard will have to stop for an extra long stop because of the professional driver status that he holds.
Yeah, Sean Lynn is still the man in control in this race, waiting to his pit stop. But Emmanuel Collard, as you say, with the longer pit stop, and we will see how this sets him up for the latter stages. Sean, 58 years old now, and he has had that was a bit of a slide. That is Sean making a bit of a mistake. He's had a lot of success in classic races of sports cars. A winner of the Le Mans Legend race several times, actually. Way back in 07 he won it. He won it back in 2014 as well. He's won the Le Mans Classic as well in Plateau 4, one of the classes. So he really has done well. He's won the Graham Hill Trophy before. He is a bit of an endurance car, classic car specialist, isn't he? And it looks as though he could be on for winning the Classic here today, because he is very well positioned right now.
Yes, he has a wonderful collection of historic cars to race. And into the pits comes the number 9 Sean Lynn car, so he's chosen to make his pit stop this time. Still sitting there is Emmanuel Collard. He could have had a cup of tea, couldn't he?
He could, yeah.
It's a very, very long stop for that professional driver, so that's really going to put him out of contention, certainly for the win, but whether he can hold on to perhaps a podium position, we'll wait and see. In fact, at the moment, all of our leading cars are in the pit lane. Lynn, Collard, and Dudis, Bryce, Littlejohn.
Yeah, that's right.
And, Max Lynn as
Perodo
well.
has come back out, so he is being shown well up there. We know that he was running second before the pit stops started. I think that's going to stay the same as long as there are no problems in car number 9. We'll have to wait and see. Francois Perodo heading on around, and he's in good position at this stage. We'll just have to see how it goes after the pit stop is complete.
Emmanuel Collard is back out on track again, so that extra long stop for him is completed. So now we'll get a much better idea of the relative positions of the cars once Sean Lynn comes back out again.
Pushing on hard, isn't he, Francois Perodo, running the Peugeot 908 diesel right out to the very edge of the track. But is he going to be able to have the pace to beat Sean Lynn? That's going to be a bit of a question mark, I think. Max Lynn, the son of Sean, is in the BR01, currently being shown in 5th position. He's just gone out of the pits, and there we just saw, I think, Sean Lynn about to exit. So this is going to be interesting because we are watching Francois Perodo come down the Hamilton straight as Sean Lynn is, I think, heading out. Has he already come out?
Yes,
there he is, sorry.
Yeah, he's exited the pit lane quite well ahead of Perodo.
Yeah, so as we expected, Sean Lynn maintains the advantage over Francois Perodo. Jamie Constable is being shown as 3rd on that list at the moment. We've got Collard on his out lap now, so this could well be the case because Jamie Constable started well down the field, made up a lot of ground. Yeah, he is up into that 3rd place now, so that's been a good gain for Jamie Constable, who finished 3rd yesterday as well when Rob Weldon won the race. And Jamie, who had that problem, if you remember, they didn't get him going off the line where he should have been on the grid. He started, I'm not quite sure where he was when he started. He definitely didn't make up all the places like Collard did on that out lap. So he wasn't where he should have been on the grid, and he's been fighting his way up. But now he's back up into 3rd place. So well done to Jamie Constable, and he's got a little bit of a margin over Landudis. Collard, with that longer pit stop, has now dropped down to 5th. Now, does Collard have the pace to be able to catch back up to Landudis? That's what we're going to be watching out for. Meanwhile, further down the order, I think Oliver Tangonia is still leading the GT class in the Celine after the pit stops. He still seems to be in pretty good shape, I have to say, and I think he's got a little bit of a margin over the next in the class. We'll keep an eye on that, but Tangonia, yeah, in good shape and potentially the winner of the GT class. So, no real changes up front. Perodo some 3.5 seconds behind the race leader, Sean Lynn, and Sean is well positioned here to take another historic GT race win, which we have seen him do quite a few times over the years in these very rapid motor cars. There's Jamie Constable, who has made such good ground. He had that rather difficult start. We saw the marshals having to go down and help him get the Pescarolo running properly. This 4.4 litre LMP1 car was run in 2011, so pretty impressive. Not that old, you have to say, and that's the case with a lot of these cars. They are from a much more recent era than many of the other cars here at the Classic this weekend.
Jamie Constable just making his way past a slower car, coming into Village to the right-hander and then the left, and he's currently still shown as in 3rd place, and the gap to Landudis is just over 8 seconds. Meantime, Emmanuel Collard back out of the pits after a longer stop because of his professional driver status is a further 9.5 seconds back, but his lap times are quicker.
Definitely, he gained 5 seconds, on Landudis that last lap, didn't he? And he set a new final sector faster time than anybody else so far in this race, did Emmanuel Collard just then. So that was a pretty good lap. Now there's our leader in the GT class, in the Celine S7R. As we saw earlier, things are still going to plan for Olivier. The pit stop went well, he's come back out, and I don't think he's under too much pressure, to be honest. I think the next in the GT class is the number 2 Mosler, which was right up there earlier on, but it is quite some way behind. And as long as Olivier can just keep the momentum going in this beautiful Celine S7, then I think he's on for the GT class win. In the GT1 category, obviously that's our outright leader, Sean Lynn. LMP1 I should say, not GT1. LMP1 and overall Sean Lynn. In LMP2 that will be Emmanuel Collard, because that is an LMP2 car. He is catching Landudis, as we mentioned, and not only will he want the class win, he'll want to try and get a bit closer to that car up ahead. He's bringing the gap down. It's only, what, 3 seconds now between Landudis and Collard.
Yes, that's come down a lot. Now Collard's back out on track again. And car 2, which you mentioned as being second in the GTs, is actually under investigation for overtaking before the start. So it might be that will end up with some sort of a penalty, but nothing at the moment, as we are watching the Peugeot number 7 of Francois Perodo chasing after Sean Lynn, who's about 4 seconds, oh no, 2 seconds, it's closed, 2 seconds up the road.
Wow.
It was 3.5, wasn't it?
Yeah. I don't know whether Lynn's got held up by some traffic or whether there's some sort of issue. There's been smokiness from somewhere there. I don't know whether there's any problems for Sean Lynn. Is the car running okay? Looks okay at the moment, but the gap has come right down to 6/10. It does imply there could be a problem with Sean's car, because he wasn't in a whole mess of traffic, was he? Let's keep an eye on the leaders here. What is going on? Our race leader Sean Lynn coming under pressure now from Francois Perodo, all of a sudden lapping much quicker, and I think Sean's got a problem. He is not at full pace. Francois Perodo moves in and then out, then suddenly Lynn seems to pick up the pace once again. There is something not quite right going on. He's not lapping at the same performance level. Car up ahead of him that had a little lock-up. That wasn't Sean himself. I think we're going to see Francois go for it on the Wellington straight.
Absolutely on the Wellington straight, yes, because even if Sean Lynn was running normally, we know that Perodo's got a speed advantage on the long straight, so he's keeping into the slipstream. Now he pulls out and he's got the power and he's coming past and easily overtakes Sean Lynn and into Brooklyn. So a change of lead. Francois Perodo goes into the lead. Sean Lynn drops to second place. Time behind them, we've still got Constable, Lendoudis and Collard.
Yeah, so a change of lead in the Masters Endurance Legends race as Francois Perodo goes in front in the diesel-powered Peugeot 908, flying along, but there is definitely some aspect for Sean Lynn in the other Peugeot 908. The car that won the Petit Le Mans back in 2009, I'm not sure what the issue is, obviously, but clearly it is not working quite as it should be. Now Emmanuel Collard has got past Lendoudis up into 4th place. Whether he's got the pace to chase after Jamie Constable, I'm not sure. I don't think so, because Constable's lapping only about a second slower per lap at this point, and with 8 minutes, just under 8 minutes to go, I don't think Collard's going to be able to close that gap for a podium finish.
No, it doesn't look like it, although you look at their best times, and actually Jamie Constable's best time is not much slower than Emmanuel Collard, but the pace at this late stage in the race, Collard is going a little quicker, but with an 8-second or so gap, it's a lot to catch up. Lovely colours, classic colours of Jamie Constable's Pescarolo, the light powder blue and orange.
Yeah, this is 3rd place man. Now whether Sean Lynn has got a problem that means that Jamie's going to be actually able to chase him down, I'm not sure it's that bad, because Sean, his last lap was a 1:50.7, so not as quick as he was going. It's 4 seconds off his best lap, but it's actually the same sort of pace as Jamie here. So I don't think that Jamie's suddenly going to close the gap. We'll keep an eye on these positions. Last time around, he's gained about 2 seconds on that last lap on Sean Lynn, and Sean is definitely still not lapping at the pace he was earlier, but it's not gone off massively. I can't quite explain it, I'm afraid, what the problem for Sean is. There's definitely something that is not 100% right, but it's also not too bad that he's having to pull out of the race. Car number 3 just being passed at the moment, Paul Cope in the Reynard Procan RS06. It's passed by Jamie Constable. Emmanuel Collard, I don't think he's going to be able to move up from 4th, but he is putting some good laps together. Another personal best on the last lap by Emmanuel Collard. Very, very consistent. He's just done a 1:46.7. That is only a 10th off the fastest lap in this race, which was set by Sean Lynn earlier on, quite a lot earlier, lap number 3. So Emmanuel Collard is the fastest of everybody at this particular time in the race, but as we can see, he's still 13 seconds behind Jamie Constable, and with less than 6 minutes to go, I think it's going to be tough for Emmanuel to actually close the gap sufficiently to claim a podium finish here.
Leader completes another lap. Francois Perodo into farm, now up towards village, and in the background might just catch a glimpse, no, we won't, of Sean Lynn. He's dropped back far enough. Here's Emmanuel Collard in the Porsche Spider. That's running in 4th place and chasing after Jamie Constable.
Yeah, well, that gap is still pretty big, isn't it? By the way, in the GT class, Olivier Tangogne is still doing well. He's 15th overall. He's got a comfortable advantage in the GT class, but oh, I've got a car off. Oh, is that? No, that isn't Jamie. Let's just see who that is. Car sadly dropping off to the side of the track. It is one of the LMP cars that has pulled off to the side. I was just mentioning that, yeah, Tangogne is still leading the GT class, but interestingly, now moving up into 2nd place has come Colin Sauter in the Ferrari 458, I believe, has now moved up into 2nd in the GT category, but quite some way away from Tangogne, quite a few cars in between. Oh no, he's just been passed by Ben Klukas, funnily enough. Just seen it on the board that Ben Klukas has now taken 2nd spot in the GT class. 4.5 minutes remain. Francois Perodo with a 4.8 second gap over Sean Lynn, who for some reason has been suffering a little bit in terms of pace in recent laps. Jamie Constable still in 3rd place, and Emmanuel Collard in 4th, getting to within 9 seconds of that potential podium. But he needs to be lapping a bit faster than he is in order to actually give Jamie any pressure. I noticed that the Ollie Bryant car is still running. We saw it come into the pits earlier. He had to make an extra pit stop. I don't know what the problem was. Ollie is running down in 25th place overall, and not quite a challenger in the GT class, I'm afraid. 8th place currently is the number 165 car of Alan Purbrick and David Bryce, the Lola LMP2. Jamie Littlejohn is behind them, down to 9th place now, so seems to have dropped a little bit again for some reason in performance. One of the Moslers just being lapped by our race leader, whose gap has been built to over 6 seconds. There's our GT class leader, the Celine. It's been smoothly driven throughout this race so far, and it's going to be looking at a top 15 finish overall, but a win in the GT category by a reasonable margin, I think. I don't think there's anybody really within shouting distance of getting past him. These are very, very rapid motor cars indeed. In fact, Collard has taken fastest lap, 146.4. Again, it's not quite as fast as the fastest lap we saw yesterday from Rob Weldon, a 45.2. But bear in mind, it's an LMP2 car up against LMP1 cars, and that's impressive once again from Collard. He's got the gap down to 7 seconds to Jamie Constable now. I think if this was a slightly longer race, Alistair, there would be every chance for Emmanuel to take 3rd, but I think we're going to run out of time.
I think we are, yes. We've only got, what, 2.5 minutes to go, and Collard obviously really putting the pressure on now. We've got that fastest lap last time around, really pressing on through Woodcote Corner along the straight towards Copse, and he's in 4th position and leading his class, of course, but we'd like to get onto the podium. And our leader coming up through Beckett's, and Francois Perodo making his way through various cars that he's lapping, and so fast this Peugeot that if he waits till the straight, he can just power straight past them. As we flick to Jamie Constable in the Pescarolo.
Yeah, the gap has come down to 7 seconds between himself and Collard. Jamie's got a little bit of traffic up ahead of him, flashing his lights, making sure that they get out of his way. The Mosler just up ahead, that is the number 124 car, and that has cost Jamie just a little bit of time. That's Colin Patton in his Mosler, but he's over the line again, and actually that was a reasonable lap by Jamie. It was a 149.9. Collard has a 147.3, so he's now within 5 seconds. So you never know.
They're actually almost nose to tail. I think Collard must have made up a lot of time on the Hamilton straight. We might pick them up as they go through, perhaps around about the loop. There's Collard, and not far ahead of him when we pan round. Just ahead there is the 3rd placed Constable. No, it isn't.
No, I think there's a slightly bigger gap still between the two.
Yeah, maybe misidentified Collard there in the colours of that car, but certainly between them we've got, what, 6.5 seconds.
Yeah, I think Collard's just missed out again. I think it's the traffic actually that hurt Constable, and now it's hurt Collard. So they've both been a little bit affected by some of the traffic. So Francois Perodo, now he is coming through club. He has got one more lap to go. We've got 22 seconds before we go to 0, and therefore Francois can enjoy one more flying lap. He was delighted yesterday when he had a second place finish. He was so happy on the podium, and looking forward to seeing him on the podium again, this time on the top spot after delivering a really solid race. No doubt about it, he has been putting together a tremendous performance. We have seen Emmanuel Collard also pushing on throughout this race, but I don't think he's going to have enough time to catch Jamie Constable. There is Jamie in car number 99. Very tricky start when they couldn't get the car going off the line, and it meant that he had to start from much further down the grid than he was expecting to start the race, but he has been able to make up the problem. In the background now, yes, you can see Emmanuel Collard, but look at that gap. I don't think in one lap there is any chance that Emmanuel is going to be able to close it up. That last lap from Emmanuel was a slightly slower lap than his best, a 1:48.8, and I think that was just coping with the amount of traffic that is around at this stage. Don't forget, Olivier Tangogne is still on target to win the GT class, I believe. Actually, I'm just looking. No, I think there's been a change. Oh yes, no, he is. Tangogne is still there. He is car number 5. He's still in 16th overall, leading that. But Ben Klukas is now back up into 2nd in the GT category. Ben Klukas actually did win that class, I believe, yesterday, but he's going to be 2nd. But it is still another podium in the GT class for him. Marcus Jewell as well. And then I think the 3rd place in that class is going to go to the number 2 car. That is the Michael Manini, Aaron Scott Mosler. Right, here we go, coming across the line, taking victory. It is Francois Perodo in the Peugeot 908, and in the end it's a really well delivered result from Francois. 2nd place goes to Sean Lynn. He crosses the line 9.3 seconds behind. I'd love to know the story, because Sean had a comfortable advantage at one point, suddenly lost a bit of pace, then kind of refound it, but never got back to Francois. 3rd place, it looks as though it's going to go to Jamie Constable, but in the background you can see there is Emmanuel Collard in 4th, gaining every single lap since that longer pit stop as a professional driver that he had to take. But Jamie's just got to keep it under control here through the last 2 corners, and it is going to be Jamie Constable who takes 3rd. Oh, Collard's going to almost get him on the line. Wow, because Jamie had a car in front of him and he backed right out. He obviously had no idea that Collard was as close as that, and he so nearly lost 3rd place. Well done to Emmanuel Collard for nearly taking 3rd on the line. That was highly entertaining. And great lap. That was fastest lap of the race by Collard, 1:46.3 on the final lap. Well done. Well, what a star driver he is, as we've seen so many years at Le Mans. Oliver Tangogne, meanwhile, wins the GT category. Well done to him. He was dominant in that class throughout in the Celine. And, well, I think that was an entertaining finish for Emmanuel. But well done to Francois Perodo, who has thoroughly enjoyed his time out there in the Peugeot 908 diesel. And the pace of that car has been a wonderful to watch. Rob Weldon took victory yesterday in the Lola B12. Today, sadly, we saw problems for Steve Tandy in that same car. He was classified in 26th place, but he did have problems with that car, sadly. We saw a number of cars that didn't make it to the end, I'm afraid, in this race. But we also saw some brilliant machinery being driven at a high pace. So there is our race winner, a very glorious Peugeot, and then our GT class winner as well.
Francois, 2nd yesterday, 1st today. You must be absolutely delighted.
Yeah, really happy. I thought I was going to have to be content with the 2nd place, because had a good fight with Sean for 3 laps. Then he overtook me, and then he was so fast I couldn't see him. And then somehow in the 2nd stint, I managed to fight back and get 1st place. So really happy.
Fantastic effort. Sean, I've got to ask, did you have a problem? Because you seemed to slow near the end.
No, I think 58 years of age, getting a bit old, and I was asleep up the 2nd stint, if I'm actually honest. The car was fantastic.
Jamie, I'm not sure whether you're aware or not, but did you know how quickly Mr. Collard was closing in the final stages?
I wasn't sure. I just drove flat out through the whole race, and I was going to end up where I ended up. So I just kept my foot in, and it ended up what it ended up. I wasn't sure where I was, but here we are, 3rd.
It turned out well. Congratulations.